May 3rd, UFC heads to Iowa, and the man with me today, Bo Nickal, joins us on the card. Bo, how we doing, man?
Doing great, doing great. Just down in Florida, enjoying the nice weather down here, so all good.
And I mean, my first question is talking about Florida. Why UFC Iowa? Why not 314 in Miami?
Yeah, it was interesting. I originally asked to be on 314, and I thought that was good timeline for me. So that was the original plan. But when the UFC kind of came back and said, "Hey, we're doing an event in Iowa. We really want you on it," I was like, "All right, let's go." I think just with the wrestling fan base there, even though they're not necessarily the biggest fans of me, I think I'll still get a lot of support from the wrestling community. But yeah, it should be fun, and that's just like an area of the country that really appreciates the sports they have. So I'm excited to go there and compete.
And that was literally my next question. Does that wrestling culture there excite you at all? But you're not, I know it's always we are, but you're not wearing the Penn State singlet now. So, like you said, safe to say you think the Iowa fans can forget that and just enjoy the wrestler?
I think most of them will. I think most of them will. I think there's a few diehards out there that they might boo me. They might just want to see me lose just because I put them through gave them a lot of bad memories. But it's all good either way. From the wrestling community and the support that I get, I feel a lot of love no matter what team the community is rooting for. So I'm excited to just get out there and do my thing and represent.
And I'm going to ask you about Reinier here in a second. But before that, I want to preface with, like I said, I was at 309 in the building. Crowd was going wild, chanting "Bo!" the entire fight. But all jokes aside, that was really the first taste you've gotten of like the bad side of MMA fans, which we all hear about. So my question one is, how did that feel, especially afterwards? Two, is that still ongoing? Like, are you still getting shit?
Yeah, I mean, it's for me, honestly, it's not that big a deal. I dealt with that in college, just, you know, being part of a university and a team. We travel, we go to Ohio State, we go to Iowa, we go to Oklahoma. We're competing as much in away venues as we are in home. So of course you're gonna catch flack and get people to act like that. I think the thing that is interesting to me about MMA fans is just the expectation and the precedent that's been set. And I also just like feel like I don't really know like what the team is, right? Like there's no all right, let's get behind. I think the other countries, right? Like you see, Connor in Ireland or Paddy with the UK or some Australian, New Zealand fighters, like they get their whole country behind them. And for some reason, I think that there's like we don't get necessarily the same support in America. Maybe it's just such a massive country and audience and different types of beliefs. So, I don't really necessarily know why it goes that way. I think that it's tough when I go out there. I finish pretty much six opponents pretty quickly and easily, and then I meet like the first guy that's able to actually defend himself in there and present some challenges, and I get booed. So I think more than anything, it's just like a interesting psychological phenomena. But yeah, I don't really feel like any other fighters are held to that precedent, right? Like, I don't necessarily know any guys that are getting booed for, winning decisions and really, dominating fights. So that's where I'm at, and it's fine. No big deal.
There's a lot of stars that come into UFC, but it has to be different. Someone of your caliber who, at 2-0, entering 2-0 amateur, entering pro, people are like, yeah, dude, UFC champion. Like, not only I imagine that's hard to live up to, but I also imagine that's hard to actually get out of your head, like going into a fight, like living up to other people's expectations. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, anytime there's talk like that, and part of it's my own doing, right? Like part of it's me being very outspoken about my goals and what I plan on doing in the sport. And so, it's not to say that, oh, like poor me, all these people are hard on me. Like, part of it's myself, but I think that for me, how I deal with it is just getting back to why I do what I do. And I love MMA. I love fighting. It's so much fun. I love learning all the different disciplines and being able to combine them. And so I think that anytime the expectations or the noise from the fans and the chatter kind of like gets to my head, I just remind myself why I'm doing what I'm doing. And my goal of course, I have big goals in the sport and there's things that I want to achieve, but the main priority for me is continuing to get better at fighting and improve and develop. And I just want to see how good I can be, right? Like, for me, my mindset is I've never put a limit on myself in anything I've done. So I'm not going to change that just because I'm fighting. So, I just want to continue to grow and get better. And when my career is all finished and wrapped up, I just hope that I could squeeze all the juice out of it that I possibly could. And if whatever that is I'll be happy with it.
So against De Ridder, I saw you talking a bit about it on Hawani and other places, but like this fight, are you? Because you said you picture De Ridder similarly in a sense as Paul Craig. Do you view this fight going down that way, or like are you feeling a need to put an emphasis on fighting differently to either push the pace for a finish or something along those lines?
No, I don't feel any pressure to perform any type of way, right? Like all I expect out of myself is 100% effort, and I just want to compete to the best of my ability. I think that in the fight with Paul Craig, I did exactly that. I competed to the best of my ability for 15 minutes. I would have loved to get a finish, right? Like I'm always seeking the finish. I've finished 6 out of 7 opponents that I've fought professionally, and so if I can get a finish, then that's great. I'm always looking for it. But the main thing again is just effort, attitude, continue to build my reputation and compete hard. And this is it's all development for me. It's all improve, get better. Not to say that, Reinier is a development fight, but my priority is improvement. It's not the result focus. It's process oriented.
Beating a number 13, a big deal. That obviously puts you into the rankings. I know you don't put a whole lot of weight under the rankings. It is kind of just a popularity contest, but does that propel you to a, top 10 caliber opponent next? Like, is there anybody here like, that's the fight I want?
What I figured out in MMA is it's hard to like plan too many steps ahead as far as the matchups and the opponents and things like that. I'm 100% focused on De Ridder, and that's the biggest fight of my life. Every fight that I've been in up to this point has been the biggest fight of my life, and it'll continue to be that for me. So I'm just focused on the task at hand. And, the priority is just continue to fight better and better guys every single time I step out, and continue to sharpen my skills and improve and develop new skills. And so, we'll see how this one goes. There's going to be a lot of other matchups, I'm sure, within the division, and we'll see how those play out and what the timeline looks like for getting back in there after this. But yeah, I mean, the ultimate goal is to continue to climb up and eventually win the belt and defend 10 times. So that's my plan.
All focus on De Ridder, but it's my job to be annoying because the fans want to know a couple questions. So I got to ask you about 2 opponents. Number 1, someone that I think you've mentioned before, he's mentioned before, Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. I asked him about you recently. He said, Bo's got to beat someone with a name in order to, I think he said, like, deserve this fight or something. How do you feel about that? Like, is De Ridder that name? Is that a fight that still interests you?
I absolutely agree with him. I think that makes, a lot of sense. And, I've mentioned him before as a guy that I see as a tough opponent, a guy that I think is doing a lot of great things in the sport and is on a nice streak. So, he's 100% right in saying that I need to get a couple, at least 1, maybe 2 more wins before I'm fighting a guy like that. And, but that's the plan, right? For me, again, development, improvement, and I'm going to continue to climb that ladder. So, I think that could be a fun fight for the fans when the time comes, and we'll see what happens, right? Like, he'll probably get another fight in between now and he'll probably get another fight before after this De Ridder fight. So I'm sure he's trying to get matched up right now. So we'll see what happens. But I mean, he's a guy, I think he's in the top 10 now. So that could make sense.
And then the other one I want to ask about, I don't think you guys are necessarily in the same spot trajectory-wise in UFC right now. Maybe, though, because he's on a win streak. But someone one of my buddies, Andre Petroski, right? He calls you out after the way he calls you out, I love it. He's like, Bo Nickal! If this fight doesn't happen in UFC, is this something we could see someday on like a Fury grappling card or a UFC Invitational? Like, does you and Andre ever compete in any capacity?
There's 3 things you can be certain of in life. It's death, taxes, and Petroski calling me out after a fight. So, that's something that for me, I told him that years ago that I would do a grappling match with him on Fury, and he was saying that I was ducking him. I'm like, dude, I don't like, what's there to duck? Like, there's at the end of the day, like, what are we really talking about here? I said I'll do a grappling match with him. I'm, perfectly comfortable with that. It's kind of the same situation like, Fluffy was saying for me. It's like, dude, if you like keep winning fights and you're actually prove that you're, good enough to compete, then we can do it. But you're getting knocked out like multiple times, finished by guys, and like, it's just not to say that he's not a good fighter. He is, but I'm trying to continue to build myself up and fight better and better guys, right? Like I'm not looking to take steps down. And in my opinion, that's what fighting him right now would be. Who knows what's going to happen in the future? But yeah, I mean, if he wants to do a grappling match, I already said I would do it. And, that's something that I think it would be an easy check. So yeah, not an issue for me.
I know those Cage Fury matchmakers very well, so maybe I'll start working some of my hopeful magic at least. I would love to watch that one. But just speaking of grappling wrestling, I saw on Instagram working with buddy Jason Nolf, Gordon Ryan. Are those guys you typically always work with, or is that more this camp specific?
Yeah, I mean, some of those guys I have obviously, strong ties with, Jason being a teammate. Gordon and I have been wanting to train together for a really long time. Another guy, Isaac Michelle, he was part of my last camp, and I was able to, go down to Austin for a week or so and just spend some time training with those guys. But that's been on the agenda for me for a long time. I think that everybody in the jiu-jitsu grappling world knows that Austin is kind of the mecca for the sport right now. And so being able to go learn from Gordon and get some really good rounds in with tough guys, Gary Tonin, Giancarlo Bodoni, Isaac, some of these guys are super talented and incredible. And that's what I want to surround myself with, is the best guys in the world. So grappling wise, there's really no better place than Austin, Texas.
So just a side fun story. Jason Nolf actually did a seminar at my gym last spring or something. Dude, he taught us the Winn-Dixie submission off a single leg.
Yeah.
Dude, one of my favorite things ever. Jason Nolf, thank you very much if you're watching. But just Gordon, obviously you guys have competed against each other. Now you train. How does that differ? Like, how much is he able to, I don't know if influence is the right word, but add to your arsenal of grappling with his BJJ?
Man, I was really grateful to have the opportunity to compete against Gordon. I'd never done any jiu-jitsu prior to that, and so getting a match with him was really fun. Definitely wish I would have gone my way, but it was a tall task, and getting to train with him is incredible. It's really, he's so knowledgeable, just like a real student of the game. And so I think, in my opinion, and I think a lot of people share the same opinion, but he's the best no-gi grappler of all time, and he's a really, really good coach too. I know that his instructionals sell really well. I've been watching a lot of his instructionals on BJJ Fanatics as well. So, he's a guy that, again, I want to surround myself with the best, and you really can't get any better than that, any better information. And he's a guy that I would love to spend more time with in the future, just to continue to refine my grappling skills.
And I mean, you, Gordon, Joe Rogan, you throw Trump in there. That's a pretty dynamic squad right there. So I think you fit right in.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, all those guys, seems like we have a lot in common. So I think they're people that just they're very driven, want to succeed, and also want to root for other people and see them succeed, and are willing to just like share all their knowledge and information. And yeah, it's I got a lot of cool friends.
And before I ask you about this next set of questions, just because I'm curious, did Donald Trump reach out to you at all? Do you guys exchange any words after the fight? Because I know he was there in person.
Yeah. He told me, I saw him right after the fight in the back. He said, congratulations. And when the time comes to head over to Mar-a-Lago, get some golf in with him. But I actually just got to see him this past Saturday at the NCAA wrestling tournament. So,
oh, yeah, duh. Yeah.
Yeah. So I sat with him and we talked for a little bit, and it was really cool to see him just, supporting wrestling. Elon Musk was there as well. And so that's, a big moment for the wrestling community. And it was cool to be a part of it.
It was me at the 309 presser that asked you if Trump was going to be in the building. I knew you couldn't answer, but I knew the crowd was going to chant USA. So
yeah,
had to get you that clip, bro. But talking about this tournament in Philly, Wells Fargo Center, no stranger to me. Big story of the week, Gable Steveson upset by Wyatt Hendrickson. I guess before I ask you the rest, what was your reaction like live, like immediately when that happened?
it was crazy. I was actually in the back in the locker room with the Penn State team, so I wasn't in the arena when it happened, but we were watching on the iPad, and it was a little delayed, so it would seem like when that takedown happened, the arena kind of just started shaking, and I was like, oh my gosh! Like before I saw it, I knew what happened, and it was a really crazy, emotional roller coaster. And anytime you have an upset like that, it's just like, I mean, you don't get upsets like that, right? Like there's that's probably, if not the number one, a top 3 upset in NCAA wrestling history. So, yeah, just to be there in the arena and see it, it's pretty insane. I think that a lot of things, something that most people kind of aren't considering is like, I just feel for Gable a little bit in that situation because, everybody always roots for the underdog, but it's really tough to be in that position where all the pressure's on you, the weight of the world's on your shoulders, and everybody wants to see you lose. So, I feel for him in that. And I think at the end of the day, like, hats off to Wyatt. Is an amazing win. And at the same time, Gable, he's bigger than just winning and losing. There's only going to be one Gable Steveson ever. So it's something that, it's why we wrestle. It's why we compete, and it's a fun part of the sport.
And now everybody's like, Gable Steveson, come to MMA, please. Does that happen? How do you think he transitions over there?
I would love to see it. He's done some work with John Jones. I think he was, with him for his last camp. And so I think that it's a natural transition. He's an amazing athlete. There's no doubt he would pick it up very quickly. And I feel like a lot of heavyweights would have a really, really tough time dealing with him. Just with not only the wrestling, but his power, his explosiveness. It's just like he's a different level of athlete. We're talking about a guy that's not only competed at the highest levels of wrestling, but he's been in the WWE, been in the NFL. So that's like a different level of athlete than what they're used to seeing. And I would love to see him in MMA.
And part of the story with this tournament is yourself, because, I'm looking at articles like Angry Bo Nickal, furious that people won't give Penn State credit. Obviously just the headline type of stuff. But I mean, yeah. Penn State, 177 points. Now I'm seeing there's like some steroid talk on Twitter. Like, what's going on? Why is there always drama, bro?
I don't know, man. I think really it boils down to the fact that we've been dominant so long at Penn State. Really, the last 15 years, we've just kind of stolen the show. And after a certain amount of time, people just get a little sick of that, right? And I think that they get sick of it. And also it's hard for people to relate, right, to that level of dominance and to that level of discipline and dedication for that amount of time period. Most people just aren't willing to pursue their goals in that way. And so they're not going to really understand what that's like. And they want to see the upsets. They want to see variety. And the reality is we're not going to slow down. So we need people to speed up if they got a problem with it. And the domination and the winning and the success, it gets boring for most people. But that's also the reason that it's boring is the same reason that they don't have it, is because they're not willing to put the work in. They're not willing to do what they need to do to make it happen. And so to them, it's like, that they don't want to talk about it anymore. And I think it's really just an issue of relatability, is people can't relate to that.
And I have 2 sets of questions left for you. One of which, I've asked you this before, about UFC potentially coming to Penn State. Like we said, maybe that's realistic. It would be an awesome card. But potentially before that, you see Sean Brady last weekend do what he did to Leon. Pfeiffer this weekend. We mentioned Petroski, who's streaking. Philly MMA scene on the ups. It's been on the ups for a few years now. If UFC came to Philly, would you want on that card? Like, is that close enough to home for you?
Oh, 100%. I would love to be on that card. And all the Philly guys that are having success at winning, like, I'm rooting for those guys 100%. It was great to see Sean get the win. Joe Piper's a guy that I love watching. I'm rooting for him. Even Andre, whenever he's fighting, I'm still rooting for that guy. I think that Americans need to support Americans, and especially wrestlers, especially guys from, similar areas. It's like, let's support each other, right? I think that a lot of other cultures and teams do a good job of like being ride or die, like, for each other. And it's like, I think we could take a page out of their book and show some support, show some patriotism. And so, a card in Philly would be amazing. I would love to be there. And, those guys, it's their city, so they can main event, and I'll be on the undercard, no problem.
I don't think you'd be on the undercard, but
Wherever they want to put me is all good. Like, I love the, the team. I think MMA needs more of a team aspect. They need people to get each other's backs, and I feel like there's a lot of people just hating on each other. It's like, man, let's root for each other, right? Like, if we got to fight for the belt or whatever it is, then that's fine. It is what it is. But other than that, let's like cheer each other on. So that's my opinion on it.
love it, man. My last one for you. You're looking to be right up top of that middleweight very soon. Looks like the next title fight's Khamzat versus DDP. Who takes that one?
Tough fight. Tough fight. I think that, Dricus has the size. He probably has a little better cardio. I think striking is pretty even. I would say, Khamzat obviously has a massive advantage in the grappling. All that considered, I think I'd give the edge to Khamzat because of that wrestling advantage. We really haven't seen. It's just you just don't get like strong grapplers like that competing. You're not used to that. Like, no matter what Dricus is going to do, he's not going to be able to game plan for that, and he's not going to have felt that from anyone. Really, the only two guys I believe in the sport that can give that feel are me and Khamzat. So I think that gives him an edge. That gives him an advantage. The longer the fight goes, the bigger the advantage is for Dricus. But seeing Khamzat in his last fight against Whitaker, he was very impressive. And, all in all, it's going to be a great fight, but I would give the edge to Khamzat.
And then for you personally, do you still prefer that Khamzat fight over DDP one day, or it doesn't matter?
100%. That's the most exciting fight there is in the division, in my opinion. I think, as far as the fights in the UFC, you got at the top Jones and Aspinall. You got Ilya, potentially with Islam or another 55er. And I think right after that, the most exciting fight next is me and Khamzat. So, that's something that the fans need to see, that I want to see. I'm sure he wants it as well. So I just got to keep winning fights, and we'll make it happen.
Next step, May 3rd, Reinier to Ritter. Bo, before I get you out of here, anything you want to say to all your fans across the world? Probably haters now, too. That's just how it goes.
It's how it goes. Yeah, no worries. But, just appreciate the support. I appreciate, people wanting to watch me fight, whether they want to see me win or lose. It means a lot to me, and I'm just grateful to represent, Penn State, grateful to represent the wrestling community, grateful to represent America, the greatest country on earth. And so overall, just a lot of gratitude for me to the fans and to all the people that support me.
Well, Bo, thank you for the time, my man. Appreciate it. Can't wait to watch you May 3rd in Iowa against Reinier de Ritter. Don't miss it, ladies and gentlemen. Kick some ass, man.
Thanks, brother.